Good Erev Shabbos, everyone. Erev Shabbos, Parshas Mikeitz, the Parsha of Yosef and his brothers in Mitzrayim. Incredible thing happens. Yosef wants Binyamin to come down. They go back to their father. They tell their father that the king ordered that we bring down our brother. And Reuben makes a guarantee. He turns to his father and he says, Shnei bonai Thomas, that let my sons die, if I'm not going to bring him back to you. There's nothing to worry about, Dad. I'm guaranteeing my sons. To know, so al yadi, give him to me. And va'ani ashivenu elecha, and I'll bring him back to you, I promise you. What a tremendous guarantee. I'll give you my life. I'll give you my kids. Yaakov says, no way. Then a little bit later, we have Yehuda. And Yehuda turns to Yaakov and he says, Anochi arvenu miyodi tevakshenu, im lo hevi Yosef elecha v'yitzagtiv lefanecha v'chatasi lecha kol hayomim. Says, I'm going to personally guarantee them. And you can demand them of me. If I don't bring him back to you, and I don't stand him before you, and I will have sinned before you for all time. Yaakov Avinu thinks it's a good idea, and he accepts Yehuda's guarantee. So you have to wonder what's the difference between the two. Reuben's promise was rebuffed. Seen as ridiculous. Yehuda's promise was acceptable, seen as something very good, something that could be relied on. What's the difference between the two of them? They were both promising, they were both guaranteeing, they were both earnest. But there was a fundamental difference between the two of them. That's problem number one. You know, when God came to the 70 nations of the world and he offered them the Torah, so we're told in a very beautiful way that every single nation asked what was in the Torah, and God says you can't kill, you can't steal. And every nation said, no, sorry, we can't take such a Torah. It came to the Jewish people, asked them how much if they want the Torah, and they said, of course we'll take the Torah, Na'aseh v'nishma. And it's all a very beautiful understanding, but very, very difficult understanding. Because why would the nations of the world say that I can't take the Torah because it says don't kill or don't steal? They were already obligated not to kill and steal. There were seven mitzvahs b'nei Noach, there were the 7 Noachide commandments, which they were already guaranteed, they already had accepted. And therefore they weren't already, they were ready. It was usher for them, it was prohibited for them to kill and prohibited for them to steal. So why would you have to mention? Why would they say, what does it say in the Torah? Oh, it says can't kill. I'm sorry, I can't take the Torah if it says you can't kill. What does that mean? I think we have to understand like this. The seven mitzvahs b'nei Noach, the 7 Noachide laws that the nations took upon themselves have consequences. It's Hashem's world, and Hashem says, these are the rules, these are the house rules. You keep them, you'll have a nice life. And when you don't keep them, you're going to get thrown out. And this was unilaterally imposed on all of mankind. Everybody became obligated in the Shavuot mitzvahs. These are the rules of the game. This is the way you stay in that game. But the Torah is very different. Because what HaKadosh Baruch Hu is demanding us from the Torah is he's demanding personal undertaking. That I'm giving you my word. When we stood at the foot of Mount Sinai, we didn't merely just accept a Torah. We didn't just accept a rule that said, this is the way you do it, and okay, we're fine, we'll take that. But we took upon ourselves personal responsibility for ourselves, responsibility for others, and that we guaranteed ourselves. There's a line that we talk about, Mushba v'amid b'har Sinai, that we became sworn in and already locked in from Har Sinai. And this became part of my integrity. If I don't keep the mitzvahs, then it calls into question my very person. It calls into question my own integrity. There was no event for the acceptance of the Shem Mitzvah B'nai Noach. because it wasn't part of their integrity. They weren't accepting anything more than just a bunch of rules, because they weren't ready to be bound by that level of commitment. They weren't ready to make it part of their very personality, their very existence, their very reason of existence. Reuben wasn't accepting any responsibility. Reuben was just setting up a set of consequences. If I'm successful and I bring the boy home, my kids will live. And if I'm not successful and I don't bring the boys home, then my kids are going to die. He was setting up the rules of the game. He didn't want to be bound by taking any kind of personal responsibility. I will be guilty of this. There will be something wrong with me. It will call into question my entire integrity. That he wasn't prepared to do. But that's the difference. Yehuda was willing to make a personal guarantee. Yehuda was willing to commit himself, to take personal responsibility. This is what I am committing myself to do and to be. I am a deliverer of your son. I'm a protector of your son. And if I fail in that, it's not just that there's going to be a consequence, but then I'm going to be guilty to you all of my life. I will have destroyed the essential me. And that's why the Jews are shaped by Yehuda. We learned in last week's Parsha that it's not only Yehuda of Hapam Oides Hashem, of the one who is able to be grateful, but it's the one who's able to take personal responsibility. And that's the difference between a successful human being and a human being that's existing. A human being that's existing is following rules, obedient, but not bought in, not completely tied in, not all a part of it. But a successful human being, a Jew, is not just following rules. If I do this, it'll be good. If I don't do this, it'll fail. And there'll be consequences. My life might suffer, but not me. It doesn't call into question my own integrity. I a lot of times try to impress it on people. Then when it comes to keeping mitzvahs, you sometimes have to look at it and say, wait a second. Whether I'm feeling good about it, not feeling good, whether I feel spiritual when I do this mitzvah, I don't feel spiritual, but it's my integrity that's on the line. I have a responsibility. I stood at the foot of Mount Sinai. I accepted not the rules of the game. I accepted the definition of who I am. And therefore, when I don't feel it coming from deep inside of me, I do have to feel my integrity. I do have to feel my responsibility. You know, we're in a war. There are a lot of people that are feeling very moved. But I think that there's a difference between the types of movement that people are feeling. I think there's the money movement. There are those people that are motivated. They'll do anything they can with their money. And they'll give their money. And they'll give it with such incredible giving and such incredible openness. And it's beautiful and it's stunning. But it's not a personal commitment. And there are those that don't have the money. But they're willing to put their integrity on the line. They're willing to put themselves on the line. They're willing to accept hours of extra learning, hours of extra davening, of a commitment to kavanah. of a commitment of being a finer person, a better person, a bigger Baal Chesed. Not just going to bases and making barbecues, which are incredibly important things, but a commitment, an internal commitment, a deep commitment that comes from the very depths of who I am. That I'm not worried about a consequence. If I don't do this, then something bad is going to happen to me. But then I'm worried if I don't do this, then I haven't lived up to who I am. And I'm willing to put myself, my very integrity on the line, my very energy, my very being on the line. I'm willing to make that kind of personal commitment. Rabbis say, keep giving the money. Send it as fast and as strong as you can to every organization. There's so many beautiful things going on out there. But don't forget to make a personal commitment. Don't forget to daven a little better. Don't forget to commit an amount of time every single day. An amount of you every single day. That's going to change the energy of the world. That's going to change the schusim of the world. That's going to change the direction of the world. That's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to see. He doesn't just want to see us following the rules. He wants to see us making a personal commitment. And if all Jews would make a personal commitment, then the whole world would change. There won't be any more war. There won't be any more suffering. There'll be only peace and joy and happiness. Because the HaKadosh Baruch Hu will have seen us make the changes necessary to become that beautiful nation that he dreams about and he believes in and waits for us to make that commitment. Have a beautiful Shabbos.